activists are pointing to the homeless crises in major cities and blaming capitalism, saying, quote, people are living in 10 cities all across the country because housing is too expensive and wages are too low. The American dream is a lie. It's really the American nightmare. Poverty is rampant here, and it's only getting worse, end quote. Meantime, residents in those blue cities say it's not the system that's to blame, it's the leadership. Watch.
I'm worried. I am worried that the child that is inside of this RV is potentially going to blow up because there's a propane tank, and our government here in Portland doesn't seem to think that that matters.
The police didn't take me nowhere. I went into an ambulance and went to the hospital. They just gave me my pain meds, Oxy and Dilaudid.
They put you back out here, and you can do that again on your own free will.
I could.
This is not a housing crisis then.
No, it's not. It's not a housing crisis. It has a lot to do with drugs.
The three people who took those videos, Damian Bunting of Seattle, J.J. Smith of San Francisco, and Jonathan Choe of Seattle, join me now. Great to have all three of you here. Jonathan, the author, goes on to blame the student loan debt crisis for the reason that you're seeing these homeless tent shelters and camps in major cities. Is that really the reason?
I think this author is misguided and doesn't have the full picture, and that's a problem. I think he's just focused on one piece of what's happening here rather than looking at, the other side of the addiction crisis, the mental health crisis, and looking at capitalism, looking just at the system when there are a lot of other deeper issues at play.
So to follow up, what do you say is the real reason for the decay of these blue cities?
Well, look, like you said, there's a common theme here, and it comes down to leadership. And it just happens to be in that many of these cities, you have Democratic leaders who have pretty much been drinking the Kool-Aid of housing first. It's this plan and strategy that's just not working, where they want to give away free apartments and studios, no strings attached. In other words, no requirements once you enter for mental health or drug addiction counseling. And it's become a frickin' free-for-all.
JJ, really appreciate you being on the program today because you just got attacked in your community. First off, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Walk us through what happened.
To which part? What happened?
You're attacked. You were attacked recently,
yes.
And you just had surgery on Monday.
Yes, I was attacked recently in San Francisco because I was asking the drug dealers not to sell drugs near the school, and they didn't take that lightly. So I ended up getting attacked. I got attacked with a machete on the top of my head, and I got attacked in my hand. And I just got had reconstruction surgery yesterday on my hand, my second surgery.
Well, it looks like you're doing well. And if that had happened to me, I may have think there's some truth to the statement that the author said that the American dream is a lie. But you don't agree. You say the American dream is alive and well. Why do you think that?
Well, I believe the American dream it might be not alive for some, but for some it is alive. But right now with this homeless situation and this homeless crisis, Jonathan Choe, he had a point there. They'd rather give away free housing before they fix a person's addiction. And San Francisco, they believe that, hey, I'm going to give you housing, and then that's it. I ain't got to worry about your addiction. I ain't got to worry about your mental health. Nothing.
Yeah, and
my brothers...
Yes, sir. Please continue.
My brother stayed in a tent in San Francisco Tent City. He was fine. But once they took him out that tent and placed him in housing, not too long after that, he OD'd. But they never addressed his issue with why he was homeless. They never addressed his issue why he was on drugs. They just threw him in housing and gave him a harm reduction kit, and that was it.
And that doesn't work. And that doesn't work. Damian,
it doesn't work.
You heard what JJ said. You heard what Jonathan said. Look, if we continue to give these homeless addicts more emboldenedness to continue to do what they're doing, and we don't get them the treatment that they need, this problem's not going away anytime soon.
No, and I find it interesting that, the thought process of the activists that made this video, they're saying that this is a American problem and not a liberal city problem. Listen, in 2018, there was a ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court that said that any city that did not have a place to house the homeless community could not enforce any sort of rules or any sort of ordinances for urban camping. So this leaves all cities, whether it's a red state, red city, blue city, with two options. That's to either tolerate it, like what you're seeing in that video with Arizona, or to enable it and actually call for it, like what's happening here in Portland. The judge that made that ruling was appointed by Bill Clinton. I don't think that that's any sort of coincidence in the situation that we're dealing with.
Jonathan, why do these leaders tolerate and in some cases foster the destruction of their communities? Because I have to think, if I were an elected official, I would want my community to thrive if for no other reason than selfish motives, because it makes me look good. Why are these folks going the opposite direction, Jonathan?
Well, quite frankly, it's because many of these leaders don't have a plan, and they've never truly encountered the homeless crisis the way it's playing out across the country right now. And also, at least here in Seattle, you have a city council that is an activist and progressive-based council that is undermining some of the moderates who want to try and listen and cross the aisle and listen to new ideas, the ideas that could work, like actually focusing in on recovery. But again, it's politics getting in the way of real solutions. And that's a shame at the end of the day for the homeless men and women who need to get off the streets.
Damian, quick final answer to you. Do you think some of these city councils are just, quite frankly, anti-capitalist?
Here in Portland, that's definitely an issue. We have a lot of activists that are just, anarchy-centered. They want to see the system of capitalism fall. And unfortunately, we're seeing the result of that all throughout Portland, all throughout the Midwest and Pacific Northwest here as well.
Damian, JJ, and Jonathan, thank you so much for your insight. It's so important that the rest of the nation hears this so it doesn't happen in their community.